up everybody, Nate here, and Bed Bath & Beyond is officially dead. After years of struggling financially, Bed Bath & Beyond announced just a few weeks ago that it was going to be closing several stores all throughout the United States. Not only that, but it's sort of flirting with bankruptcy right now, and its stock price has tanked over the last few days. This just marks another legacy retailer that has either closed its doors or has run into some serious troubles over the last couple of years. Sears and JCPenney effectively went into bankruptcy at the height of the pandemic, and more recently, AMC, GameStop, and Kohl's have all struggled financially, and now Bed Bath & Beyond is next. But the real issue here with retailers, and more specifically the legacy retailers in the United States, is this is not just a JCPenney or a Sears or a Bed Bath & Beyond problem. No, this is an industry problem, and the way the consumers are changing their buying habits is going to completely wipe out traditional retail in the United States. Now, the main reason for this is why a lot of these companies are going out of business. Now, Sears and JCPenney had been around for a very long time, and technically they still are around in some capacity. I believe there's like one more Sears location somewhere in the United States, and JCPenney still kind of has a few stores throughout the country. Now, it'd be really easy to just chalk up a lot of these retailer deaths to, well, the rise of e-commerce and the internet. Obviously, stores like Amazon have completely changed the game when it comes to buying things online. Once that really became solidified with the millennial generation and now Gen Z, well, we don't necessarily need to go out to a physical store to buy all of our goods and services or apparel or clothes or anything else in this day and age. In fact, most of us would actually prefer to buy things online. That's why Amazon has actually created programs where you can try out clothes and then send the clothes back if they don't fit or you don't like them. I mean, I personally don't want to get somebody else's clothes, but hey, at least I didn't have to leave my house. But today, that's not what is really happening. There is a much more systemic issue when it comes to retailers, and that is supply chain issues. One of the biggest reasons why Bed Bath & Beyond is now closing a lot of its stores and on the verge of bankruptcy has a lot to do with customers no longer going into their locations, but customers aren't going into their locations anymore because these stores have a lack of inventory. I know myself, I've gone in a lot of stores and I've gone to buy something and the store just being completely out of stock. The issue is a lot of these locations like Target and Walmart, well, they are having problems getting inventory into their store, and that is meaning a lot less foot traffic. Now, this whole inventory problem is twofold because at the start of the pandemic, we had millions of Americans who were out of work. So that meant that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of spending and things on the shelves just sat there. But then the Federal Reserve and the United States federal government kind of kicked the country in shape by printing a ton of money in the form of stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. So now Americans had a ton of money that they could go out and spend, and that created a lot of demand for products. However, we also had a lot of economic lockdowns, and other countries had economic lockdowns too. So that meant that supply chains were going to be lagging for the foreseeable future. We are starting to get caught up today, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. And now retailers are getting hit hard. Becoming a retailer is very, very difficult business, and it can be very hard to have really solid profit margins and continue to expand throughout the country. I mean, just think of the store size and the amount of products that you need to have. These stores have millions of dollars worth of product on their shelves, and if they're not selling that product, then it's just sitting there. Now the store is paying all of its employees, it's paying just to have the building, it's paying to keep the lights on. And those stores are not small. Like, think of a Walmart or a Target. These stores are huge, so they take a lot to actually heat and cool the building. This is hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, that the corporation has to pay for. But the problem is, if they can't get people into their stores, then now they have to close those locations. Well, today, Americans are fighting with inflation. That is the second reason. So we had really high demand, which caused inflation. So Americans bought up pretty much everything in 2020 and in 2021. And then 2022, we had bad inflation. It hit a record high of over 9.1% in the summer of 2022. It has since come back down generally in our economy, but there are still plenty of things that cost a lot more in today's day and age. Some stores are actually benefiting from this inflation because they have vital things that consumers need. Like Walmart has groceries, and that's why you've seen a lot of other stores like Target get into the grocery game over the last couple of years. That offers them diversification because now they have a solid business model if people don't come in and buy their products. products. The problem is not every retailer works like that. Retailers like Bed Bath & Beyond, well, they don't have groceries. Everything that they sell is, well, sometimes necessary for a home, but not always. So that means just generally they're going to see a lot less foot traffic. And on top of that, they cannot fill their shelves right now because inventory overseas, where they actually get their products, is very, very low. And when they do have the inventory, they have to overpay for it because the producer price index, which shows us how prices are going up or down for producers and businesses, is going up pretty much at the same rate as inflation and has been for the past few months. That means they're spending a lot more, and if they're not selling, then, well, they're gonna run into a problem. You can pretty much see these businesses that didn't adapt, like Sears and JCPenney, well, they sell non-vital things, so they're going to be the first ones to go. Bed Bath & Beyond is in the same boat, but to be honest with you, there is going to be a huge wave of problems for pretty much every major business in the United States coming soon. Obviously, we've had inflation in our economy for a very long time now, and that is putting a lot of pressure on consumers because consumers are not going out and spending as much as they could before. Basically, what you need to know is that discretionary spending from consumers is out the window. They are not doing that. If consumers don't have to spend the money right now, then they are not. That's because the price of everything has gone up so exponentially over the last couple of years. And it's not that consumers don't want to spend, it's that they physically can't. Wages and salaries have not gone up fast enough to meet inflation for most businesses. That's why we've seen a lot of strikes like at Amazon and Starbucks. These businesses are trying to counteract their really, really high costs by not paying a lot of their workers a whole lot more. They're not giving out huge raises like they were, like, say, in 2021 in 2020. Bonuses for a lot of businesses, like I know for a fact that Lowe's and Home Depot were giving out quarterly bonuses in the hundreds of dollars to their employees during the pandemic. This was in 2020 and in 2021, but that has since gone away. Businesses don't have the extra cash, which means consumers don't have the extra cash to go out and spend. So the majority of Americans are only going to go out and buy the things that they need, like groceries, or if they have to pay off a bill, and anything extra is going to be put into savings. Now, I should say, of course, you're going to have Americans that go out and spend to their absolute limit, and you're going to have Americans that just go out and spend on credit cards, but that's also going to become a problem as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates and those adjustable rates on credit cards go way up. Now, all of that debt gets a whole lot more expensive, so that might be a small solution in the short term, but in the long term, Americans are going to be losing a whole lot of money because they're going to have to pay a higher balance on that credit card. That means pretty much every major retailer in the United States is at risk here. They're at risk because they don't sell things that Americans absolutely need. And now they're all trying to scramble with their employees and their business models to try to figure out how to convince you that you need a lot of their products, that you have to go out and buy their things. That is going to be a hard sell. And until inflation goes down and prices are pretty much stable in our economy, this is going to be a big issue, and it could bleed into a lot of your major corporations and investments and markets everywhere. The lack of inventory thing, though, is really, really interesting to me because I noticed it myself just going to the store and trying to buy things. If you go to Walmart, if you go to Kroger, if you try to go to Target, well, they're out of things. They have really, really low stock of everything, and if they do have stock, everything is really expensive. Your money doesn't go as far as it did before. Americans, for the most part, are fed up with it, and that is another big issue that retailers are facing in 2023. A lot of Americans are just fed up with it. They're fed up with stores not having the inventory, and employees of the store are fed up with how they're being treated. We thought during the pandemic, while there was going to be this opportunity for businesses to finally give back to their employees and value them by giving them huge raises and actually giving them promotions, but the vast majority of retail workers and restaurant workers and all of these other industries that require people to physically work every single day, well, they just did not get the recognition or the pay increases that they deserve. So now many of them are revolting and they're quitting their jobs, and many of these locations, like fast food restaurants, like retail stores, don't have the staff to even stock the shelves. It is basically a nationwide protest right now, and so far the workers are winning. The big problem is, well, how long can the workers actually stay protesting before they have to take some of these jobs? Because workers don't just have millions of dollars sitting on the sideline. No, they have bills to pay, so eventually they're going to have to get back to to work. Meanwhile, these corporations and the billionaires that run them, well, they have a ton of money that they can sit back on if their business doesn't do well for a few months. I think over the next couple of years, you're going to see an ideology shift in the United States from Americans. Instead of Americans going out and buying a lot of things from, say, Walmart or Target, they're actually going to shift back to your corner stores and a lot of your family-owned businesses. Business in the United States is built on efficiency and making the consumer's life a whole lot easier. We had individual stores that served specific purposes, and then those stores eventually grew, and then we had malls, and then we had these big retail stores that felt like malls, but they actually were just one store that sold a lot of different things. Then e-commerce took over, and now the store is literally anything and everything that you can think of, and you don't even have to leave your house to get it. This level of convenience has evolved over time, and now it's starting to evolve again. Americans aren't going to go to Walmart if they can't buy the things that they need. If Walmart is continuously out of inventory, that is going to mean that it's not reliable anymore. Part of the reason why Walmart and other stores are not reliable is because their prices are so low. Still, Americans have a budget to spend, but they're able to go to a lot of these places and save money by shopping there. For the most part, Americans still need certain things, and that is why I believe that your corner stores and family-owned businesses are going to make a comeback. It is a little bit more expensive to buy things at a corner store or a family-owned business because they have a lot more upfront costs, and they probably pay their workers a little bit higher of a wage too. They're not in it for the mega millions of dollars. I mean, maybe hundreds of thousands, and maybe a few of them do cross over the $1 million threshold. But most of them are just trying to provide a vital service to their community. Because those prices are a little bit higher, well, then that means you're going to scare away the vast majority of shoppers. The shoppers that really need something, well, they can't get it at Walmart, but they can get it at a corner store. I think that a lot of these corner stores are going to innovate with technology, do more deliveries, and they're going to be the available resource for Americans who need something right now, because that at the core is what Americans want. They don't mind spending a little bit more in order to buy something, but they want what they want, and they will do what they need to do to get it. And it really just depends how bad this inventory problem goes for a lot of businesses. Bed Bath & Beyond is literally going out of business because it doesn't have the people to stock shelves, and it doesn't have the stock to actually go on the shelves. But at the end of the day, Americans will do what they have to get the things that they want, and these big mega retailers like Bed Bath & Beyond, well, they're just simply not making the cut anymore. Meaning we could see more of them die off in the near to distant future. But that is it for today's business and financial news breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date with all the top business and financial news from around the country, our team puts together a free daily newsletter, and you can subscribe to it by clicking the link in this corner right here. And if you want to stay up to date with me and everything else happening in the business and financial world, I'm putting out updates 7 days a week over here on this channel, and I've actually got another one ready for you right here, so be sure to check that out before you go. That's it from me, everybody. Be kind out there, and I'll see you all in the next one.